Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a woman who is aged 35 years old. I have a child with a South African man, my husband, whom I do not love. I only love him because of the life that he has given to me. But this is how I made him to fall in love with me. I was always a woman who knew what she wanted in life. When I was still back home in Zim, I knew that it was going to be very difficult to find a local man that could provide a life for me. I had once dated a Nigerian online, and I saw that indeed they were romantic, but there was no money. The man could not even afford to send me money through Western Union. I then ended up coming to South Africa. My name is Tatenda, and I have my own confession that I want to make, one that I had never shared before with anyone. So what I did was that, like a drama queen, I faked being like a spirit medium, those ones from the white garment churches, so that I can get married to my South African husband, because I saw that my mother-in-law, she was the weakness. She really liked these white garment prophets, and I knew that if I was going to pretend as if I am someone that is really spiritual, that can see things that happen in the spiritual realm, and someone that can make things happen in the physical world. She got so excited when she found out that I was going to become a Makoti. I know that it sounds so crazy, but for me it was about survival. I was not looking for love. I had been loved before. I had loved before. And now, to secure my future, I had to do what I had to do. You need to understand that life pushes you into situations where you have to make impossible choices. So, like originally, I do come from Zim, and then I came here to South Africa. I started working for this other woman who turned out to be my mother-in-law's friend. I was working as a maid. So, with good character and behavior, that is when my husband fell in love with me, even though I was not into him because he drank a lot of alcohol. But the mother, sensing that I was someone who was a spiritualist, she thought that I was going to be able to assist her son. Working as a domestic helper, I started dating his son, and after that, they got me a job, and I was now working as a waitress, and things were really difficult. Whilst I was dating him, then the mother told me that she wanted to come to our apostolic church. At that time, we were attending this church in Soweto, and since she did not understand how the apostolic church from Zim operates, she wanted me to assist her. That was when I saw that this was my own opportunity. Instead of viewing my future husband as a drunkard, a man who cared about wearing original clothes as well as expensive beer that he would be drinking, I saw him as someone who could assist me, someone who was patient and caring, and above it all, he had a very good job. I saw marriage, even though he had never talked about marriage, and I knew that if he was going to propose, if I was going to force him to propose to me, to marry me, this was going to mean automatic entry, and this was going to be my lifeline. If we got married, I could be able to apply for my South African citizenship. My future depended on it. I started working on my mother-in-law. I went back home. When I was back home, I went to this other traditional healer, and I told the traditional healer that this was what I had in mind, and the traditional healer gave me some charms that I was supposed to use on my mother-in-law. You should see my mother-in-law. She is like my zombie. I tell her the things that I need her to be done, and she will do those things for me. Whilst I was busy working on my mother-in-law, one night as I lay awake, that was when an idea hit me. It was something that I had never thought of. Since my mother-in-law is someone who is like addicted to these white garment churches that are from Zim, and when you go to the white garment church, your spirit mediums, they are seen as messengers of God. The words that they speak, it is as if they come directly from the Holy Spirit. And as you know that we take them very seriously. And if I pretended as if I had been possessed by the spirit of my husband's grandmother, and this was going to push my mother-in-law to push my husband into marriage, it was risky, but I felt like this was my only option. The very next morning, I got airtime and I called that traditional healer from back home, and I told the traditional healer that this is what I had planned to do. The traditional healer then told me that if I was going to act out as if I have been possessed, then maybe she would end up doubting, but he was going to give me a charm. And when we were at church, I should invite my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, if it could happen, even my husband's sisters and brother, so that they can witness. And when I will be there, I had to squeeze on this charm. Anyone who could be possessed by a spirit will then be possessed by the spirit, and then the traditional healer back home in Zim will be speaking through that person as if he is the Holy Spirit. The very following Sunday, even though my future husband, he was drunk, he complained that he had babalas, he did not want to go to church, but I forced him, and then my mother-in-law brought my father-in-law as well as my sister-in-law. We went to church. Whilst we were at church, that was when we started singing and clapping, and I was busy squeezing that charm that I had been told to use by that traditional healer. I then sat quietly waiting for the right moment. My heart was pounding and my hands, they were full of sweat, and I just did not think that it was going to happen. So at our church, we do play those African drums. So as the drums were being played, that was when I saw this other woman, and I said, ka, it is now happening. That woman's body started to shake as she was getting possessed by the Holy Spirit, and then she let out a trembling cry. Everyone turned around and looked at her, and people just kept on looking at her, and then that woman started crying and saying that it was the spirit of the Holy Spirit that was talking. Yet I knew that it was my traditional healer who had managed to possess her body. And then she said, I have a message from the Lord. The Lord is speaking through me. And everyone remained quiet. Even the main prophets, they remained quiet, including the bishop. And then that woman started crawling. She started crawling and she was moving as if she was a snake. And she went to where my husband was seated right next to his father. Because in our church, women, they sit on one side and men on the other side. She was crawling like that until she was at the place where they were sitting. And then she started pointing at my husband and said, this man has been chosen. This man has been chosen. Where is his future wife? Where is his future wife? That was when I saw my mother-in-law, when she heard that it was the will of the Lord for us to get married, because I had a gift, a great gift, and I had been sent to help him so that he does not continue living in sin, being an alcoholic. And everyone started praying and thanking the Lord, and we were given some prayers and some holy water to use. In the weeks that followed, we were forced by my in-laws to plan for the wedding. I got married to my husband before even my bride price had been paid. We went straight to court. Then I got married to the love of my life, or let me say to the citizenship of my life. And after that was when I also faked as if I am a spirit medium. So my mother-in-law is always at my home consulting with me. What I do is that after she would have consulted with me, I inform my traditional healer. He then assists me, and I will tell her that this is what is happening to you. My wedding was really beautiful because we had almost like an after wedding when we had done this in court. Now I am here telling my own story. Do I regret? I really do not know, because in this life We all have a responsibility to make it in life. And I am so sorry to the people that are going to be hearing this, who are going to get emotional about me acquiring my own citizenship, but I had to do it. I am a fighter, and I feel like I deserve this ID that I have. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Can you just imagine? Yo.